Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Scoop on K-State, a show featuring leaders of Kansas State University and our efforts to become a next-gen land-grant university. It's an honor to welcome Dr. Mary Hale Tolar, Dean and Associate Professor of the Mary Lynn and Warren Staley School of Leadership at Kansas State. Thank you for joining us, Mary.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. In addition to earning your undergraduate degree at K-State, you were also recognized as a Rhodes Scholar, a Truman Scholar, and you read for a Master's of History from the University of Oxford. And then you returned to K-State, earned your doctorate in educational leadership in 2009, and were selected to serve as director of the Staley School of Leadership. You're a member of the Dean's Council and Provost staff, and as director and dean, you established the mission of developing bold, I like this, curious, and connected learners to address the world's most complex challenges. So, pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are just kind of the bare facts. Why don't you talk about you, your personal story, and how you got to K-State and your background?
Okay. Well, my K-State story kind of started, President Weefald and I actually started in the same semester. It was back in the 80s. We didn't have quite the football team that we later did. But I majored in history and speech. I was part of German club and mortar board. I also spent a lot of time in theater. But my defining experiences were really with Nancy Twiss and the Nationally Competitive Scholarships Program. You mentioned Rhodes and Truman. I applied for more than that, not successfully, and probably learned as much from that as from these. But the time that I had with Nancy Twiss was probably the most defining of my time. She led me through a process that stayed with me throughout the rest of my career and my life. And it's basically, the scholarships ask you to answer 4 questions. Who am I? What do I care about? What kind of contribution do I want to make in this world? And what's it going to take to get there? And if you start responding to those questions, it can be very powerful. And that process had me connecting with faculty members that I never had a class with, like Eugene Kramer or Bill Richter. Yeah, it was amazing. And then plenty of faculty members that I spent a lot of time in class with, like Sue Chucky and Mike Finnegan and Orma Linford. And so it really was defining of my K-State experience, and it led me then on to everything that followed.
I mean, that's pretty incredible. We talk about how many Rhodes, Truman, Marshall, Goldwater, Udall Scholars. I applied for a Fulbright, didn't receive it.
I remember that because I was on your campus selection committee back in the day.
Yeah, so that was pretty neat. So that's a really cool story. So I didn't know art. Did you say that?
Oh, theater.
Theater, sorry.
Yeah,
so
that's
theater.
That's where I also met my husband at K-State. So yeah, lots of K-State connection.
Really cool story. We're going to go off script already.
Okay.
Talk about leadership studies and how it got started, because I think that's a really important aspect of this.
Oh, absolutely. So leadership studies was kind of the invention of some pretty amazing K-Staters. So Pat Bosco, Bernard Franklin, Susan Scott. They got connected with Bob Shoup in the College of Education, and they recognized, so even back when I was here, before leadership studies, leadership development was a huge part of the K-State experience for students, but we just didn't have it formalized.
Yeah.
They came along and said, our students really want to do this in a more structured way. They want to have an opportunity to seriously reflect, build their own leadership, but reflect on what they want to do with that when they graduate. And so they created leadership studies as a minor. It's now a certificate, same bent, same purpose, but it's now a certificate to reach more students. But it is it started as an academic program, and it also has all of the co-curriculars that go along with it.
Correct?
Yeah, it was in the late 90s when that happened, and then we grew, and in 2006 we merged with the community service program that had been at the university since the late 80s, and so it was leadership studies and programs, and now it had the civic leadership and student service learning components, and then we became a school. Moved into a beautiful building.
It is beautiful.
And now we are also home to the honors program, scholar development and undergraduate research, applied
incredible.
Learning. There's a lot of stuff that's happening.
Yeah, I started in the late 90s, and I remember leadership studies being here in that small house across the street. A lot of people remember that, and how much it's grown. I wish I would have had time to actually become a leadership studies
Hey, it's not
student.
too late. We
That's
have
right.
graduate certificates.
It's never too late. But it's pretty cool. I thought we had to talk about that background. and how it's evolved
Yeah.
through K-State. It's such interwoven piece of the university.
Oh, absolutely. It really has become, it started out of who we were already, and it just gave it a different kind of profile and a move forward. And the building itself, Mary Lynn Staley talks about the beacon that it can be and how it can shine a light. And that's really what that building has allowed us to do.
Yeah, right there in Center Campus. So changes to the Staley School of Leadership. We're going to talk about some new initiatives, which is exciting. You touched on it. Applied learning experience. That's one of our highest priorities during the university's recent strategic plan process. Elevating the K-State student experience, produce stronger leaders for tomorrow. And in fact, President Linton recently talked about it at his State of the University. So first off, let's talk about what is applied learning. That's
Okay.
probably one of the first questions, right? So what is it? Tell us
Well,
what it is.
okay, so applied learning at its core, it's applying theory to practice. It is it's an opportunity to integrate intentionally classroom knowledge with hands-on experience. Actually, it's probably very familiar to K-Staters because it's very much who we are and how we have done education from the very beginning. But it is, it's what a Next Gen land grant is and should be. It's not about what you know. It's about what you can do with what you know. And that is really what this is about. So applied learning, the initiative is to ensure that every undergraduate student has an applied learning experience, at least one applied learning experience before they graduate by 2030. So that is what makes it transformational, is it's going to be at scale and it's going to be excellent.
Yeah. And it goes beyond just a practicum or internship.
It does, although those could be examples of applied learning. What makes it applied learning and to reach the requirement that we're expecting every student to make is it needs to be planned, it needs to be intentional, it needs to be significant, so it needs to be roughly the equivalent of 1 credit hour, 45 hours of engagement. It needs to have a mentor needs to be a part of it, whether it's a faculty member or maybe it's an internship supervisor or someone in the community who's been working with the student. There has to be reflection as a part of it because, reflection is where all the learning happens. So we have a framework, and if an experience meets the framework, it's applied learning and it counts.
Yep. And we talk about by 2030 as part of the plan, strategic plan, Next Gen, getting to every student. Where are we at currently, you would say, with students?
While we're still figuring that out for all of the scientists out there, we don't have the hard data, but we think we're roughly around 70% of students right now have at least one experience before they graduate.
That's great.
Like I said, we've been doing this for a long time. This is in the DNA of the institution. But what we need to do is to get to that 100% and then also make sure that there's a consistent experience for students across so that we can really elevate the quality of it.
Yeah, being more intentional about it, which is great. So how does applied learning interact with our students, state, and beyond, and why is it so important for the future of K-State?
So this one, for me, this question is really about how we understand the land grant mission and the role of students in delivering it. Because if we can connect student learning with the needs and the opportunities of the state and beyond, that is actually the delivery of the land grant mission. It's not simply doing what's best for students. We always want to do what's best for students. And we're at a land grant institution. So doing what's best for students in the context of engaging them and empowering them to also help deliver on the land grant mission across the state.
Yeah. So really talk about that land grant, that access, the opportunity, right?
Absolutely.
Tying what we learn, extending the knowledge out to the community and the state and beyond.
That's right.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. So Dr. Craig Schroeder was recently hired as the inaugural Julie and Roger Davis Executive Director for Applied Learning. So maybe share more about Craig and his role.
Yeah, Craig is wonderful. We're very fortunate to have him leading this effort. And of course, we're very grateful to Julie and Roger Davis for their investment in this initiative and in the leadership of this as well. It's been great. So Craig is... he's special. He's a driver. He loves this. I'd say he's an advocate. He's almost an evangelist when it comes to this kind of learning experiences because he understands this is high impact. Every student should have the benefit of this, and regardless of major. And so he's out there.
He's passionate.
Driving. He is very passionate. He's also done a lot of hard work. He hit the ground running when he joined us last fall, and he has worked to develop teams. So we've got core team, which are the people who live this. This is their day job. They focus and have focused on undergraduate research and internships and education abroad. And then he's also helped to develop a university steering committee for applied learning experiences. Lovely acronym of U-Scale, because we are going to scale this. And that has really engaged voices across the university, student voices, administrators who are important to making this thing work at all levels. So he's bringing everybody along and he's driving forward, just exactly what we need right now.
Yeah, it's so neat. I couldn't think of a better spot for it to live than leadership studies. You talk about integration, interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary. You guys touch all students, so it's really neat that you guys house the applied learning experience.
That's exactly how we feel. We feel like we're perfectly positioned to pull this and work across the university to make this happen.
No, that's fantastic. And I just wanted to comment too on Julie and Roger Davis, tremendous K-Staters. They're so supportive of the association, Staley School of Leadership, Bernie Family Welcome Center, all across K-State. Just fantastic.
Absolutely,
couple.
the best.
They're awesome. So now let's talk about the Staley School of Leadership. I know you have more than 5,000 students engaged with your programs every year, and that number continues to grow. A doctoral program that's been added, you have more than 30 students in that program. Why don't you share more about your personal favorites and some initiatives about the Staley School of Leadership?
You're gonna make me talk about favorites? No.
I know. Get you in trouble a little bit.
I know. Well, they're all my favorites, but I guess there's some exciting things that are happening. I mentioned before that the Leadership Studies minor is now a certificate. That's going to help us reach even more students. We formed a unit called Scholar Development and Undergraduate Research, and that pulls together the Developing Scholars Program, McNair Scholars, undergraduate research across the institute, nationally competitive scholarships all together. And they've got a new initiative for vertically integrated programs for research, which is a collaboration with the Kansas Water Institute. So that's new and that's exciting.
Interesting.
We have a graduate certificate in leading change, and I think that'll be interesting to a lot of folks. I think it's an opportunity to engage after folks have been at K-State. If they're wanting to brush up on leadership, that might be an option. And then most recently, we've got 200 alumni of the Mandela Washington Fellows program. And while the program is closing, the alumni network is really strong, and we're continuing to engage with them to advance research and practice across the African continent on leadership development. And the power and the value of a strong alumni group. So,
absolutely,
yeah,
we do
so
every
we're
day.
exciting.
So how many of those programs, you talk about certificates and these programs, how many are online? How many are accessible online?
All of our undergraduate programs, all of our courses are available online.
Yeah.
And most of our graduate, and just this year, our PhD is going to online as well. So
that's awesome.
Everything should be available to folks wherever they
so for those alumni or working professionals who want to pick up a leadership certificate or
the
course,
Leading Change certificate is a great one, but also
that
you can absolutely do it online.
Yeah, that's awesome. All as part of that, again, strategic plan to reach 30,000 students and learners by 2030. Other changes. So new in the building, a new cafe. Why don't you talk about that?
Oh, absolutely. So love partnering with Housing and Dining at K-State. They are the best. And we have a new cafe in the building, and it's called Fullwell. It's a spot that we hope everyone will come to love, Fullwell. And it's coffee and baked goods, but it's also healthy options. And they've got collaborations with local farms and businesses to really elevate that. The vibe is fabulous. It's just very warm and welcoming. We're excited to have them there.
Yeah, James does a great job. We're actually working on a partnership with them, with the Alumni Association and them, for some student engagement and branding, and it's
absolutely
exciting.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it does a great job. You mentioned honors program earlier, so let's touch on that. Maybe talk about honors program, what you're doing there, and the capacity of individuals and groups to lead change locally and globally.
So honors is absolutely growing. We've had double the amount of applications in the last year. Our fall enrollment in honors courses is up 60% from last year. We've got double the students who are living in honors housing at K-State, and the housing is about to get even better.
I was going to touch on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot happening with that, and it's under the leadership of Dr. Sarah Lulai, who's a wonderful faculty member. Jim Hohenberry is the associate director. It's just a growing, wonderful environment. Yeah,
that's awesome. And in terms of facilities, you kind of touched on it. Maybe share what's going on there.
Yeah, we are renovating the Strong Complex, which are Putnam, Van Zyl, and Boyd halls, those 1928 classic, iconic residence halls on campus. And they're being renovated, and the University Honors Program will be housed in those as they open in the coming year. We're very excited about that, and the whole community, because it'll be honors, but it's honors plus. And so it's a really great move.
And right there, right across the street, which is great.
Oh, absolutely. All connected.
It's going to be awesome. So maybe talk about any other goals for the upcoming year and beyond.
Okay, well, beyond the focus on 2030 applied learning, that's probably our driving focus, but we've got lots of other things happening. Scholar development and undergraduate research is going to be moving into Hale Library, so that's going to broaden access. We're going to get the honors program moved into Strong Complex. These are the things that we're working on. I know, we're moving. We've also are launching a master's program with the College of Health and Human Sciences. We've got new graduate certificates online, and we've got global food systems leadership. We're hitting some transition time. We have an opportunity to really think about the future of that and how we're going to grow on the foundation that Dr. Mary Kay Seifers has built in that area. So a lot of good growth and opportunity ahead.
That's terrific. That's awesome. Excited about the future. What can K-Staters everywhere do to help the Staley School's mission? So alumni, friends of the program, K-Staters everywhere. What can they do to help?
Well, our mission is to develop bold, curious, and connected learners to really address the complex challenges of our world. So I think the best thing that they can do is to model that. We need that. That's why we're focused on it in the Staley School with all of the learners who come through our doors. We need that in any community. So whenever a K-Stater finds themselves, that they can think about what it means to encourage that connection, to be bold, to reach out and to act collectively, to build the future that they want. That's the future I want to live in.
Yeah, and I also think just being great advocates, ambassadors,
Absolutely.
Talking about the program, because it really is a driver and a attractor for students, and just what a great model we have here.
Absolutely.
So, anything else you'd like to share, Mary? Additionally?
I think maybe I'd just go back to those 4 questions that Nancy Twist introduced me to and that kind of have guided my career and my life. And I just encourage all of us maybe to keep that in mind. Those are questions that you don't really answer. You just keep responding to. Who am I? What do I care about? What kind of contribution do I want to make in this world, and what's it going to take to get there? I think that is reflective of the K-State community. It's a pretty impressive K-State community that continues to invest in this place, in our students, and in our future.
Yeah, talks a lot about your mission, right? Bold, curious, connected. Makes a lot of sense. That's great. Well, this is Scoop on K-State. So, Dean Tolar, thanks for giving us the scoop on the Staley School of Leadership.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Now's the favorite part of my podcast, at least, is we get to share a scoop of Call Hall ice cream.
Fabulous.
Now, we got limited options, so I think you had 2 to choose from.
I did.
And it was chocolate and vanilla.
Uh-huh.
Which one?
I chose vanilla. And I chose vanilla because it is the foundation from which all the customization can happen, right? A good, strong vanilla ice cream, anything else is possible on top of that.
A good foundation base. That's excellent. So, well, thanks again, Mary. Appreciate all you do for campus leadership, being a K-Stater. Just a joy to work with, and we just appreciate all your leadership at K-State.
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah. Well, that wraps up another episode of The Scoop on K-State. I'm Adam Walker, President and CEO of the K-State Alumni Association. I want to thank you for watching or listening to our show. Until next time, be sure to share this podcast with other K-Staters. Select that follow button on your podcast app so you'll never miss another episode. On behalf of the K-State Alumni Association staff, we are proud to be #1 in the Big 12 in terms of membership. We value and appreciate your ongoing support and, of course, membership. If you're not currently a member, please consider joining. And, of course,
Go Cats.